So I don't know if you guys are watching American Horror Story Cult this year, but they re-edited and in large part it seems are going to remove a mass shooting scene from an upcoming episode that's set to air Tuesday, October 10th. Ryan Murphy, who is the creator of the show and is an Emmy-winning creator and makes some really great television, said, "I believe I have the right to air it, but I also believe in victims' rights. And I believe that now is not the week to have something explosive or incendiary in the culture." There was also previously a mass shooting scene in the first season of American Horror Story, which I think is the haunted house one.
Asylum.
The haunted. It was like a haunted house. I think it was just Murder House.
Sorry.
And so they have used it, and they did say that this scene was going to be very clearly anti-gun, and that's how they were going to use it, but they're still going to remove it. What do you guys think about it? We're not going to do 5 words or less because it's a shooting story, but I think it's a good idea. What do you think?
I agree. I think it's a great idea as well. And Ryan Murphy, first of all, is a visionary and a genius. And I love the way he approached the story because he didn't shy down from it. He said, "Listen, I'm not going to compromise my creative integrity or my artistry, but I do understand where people are coming from. So yeah, we'll make adjustments." I do think it's a great move to be sensitive to what's going on, especially because it's so soon. You know, and they filmed this months ago, so of course he wouldn't know this would go down, but it's very responsible and he cares about, he tells a story, he cares about his storytelling, but he also cares about his audience. And there's some people who would have been like, "No, leave it in." There was a tweet last Friday from Daily Blast Live asking the question, "Hey, should they leave it in?" My retort to that tweet was, yes, because depending on how it's handled, it could be a great television moment if it's done respectfully. But going back on that now, after going to Vegas this weekend and talking to people who were around there that have friends that were impacted by these shootings, I agree. Edit it and take it out, or find a more creative way to tell the story.
So Daron, what do you think?
Well, I watch all American Horror Story. I've seen every single season. It's my favorite show on TV. Yeah, so good, my favorite. And it's known to be an incredibly graphic show. So I can only imagine what it was going to be like before they went back and edited it or whatever. But I think it's good that they did it. I think it's way too soon to be putting that on television. But I mean, I don't want to say excited to see it, but I'm interested to see how they're going to work it so that it's sensitive to the people that are so affected by the tragedy, but still gives the message of anti-gun. Yeah, so I'm very interested to see it now.
Already there were episodes of like the neighbors have this giant gun closet.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Grace, what do you feel?
This whole story that he edited this out plays exactly into an episode of BoJack Horseman from this most recent season. I hope someone in the comments watches this show. I love it. It's called Thoughts and Prayers, and basically it follows Princess Caroline, who is a cat on the show. It's a cartoon. Please check it out on Netflix. And she is working with this actress named Courtney Portnoy, and Courtney is in a movie called Ms. Taken. It is a spinoff of Taken, and there is a very violent shooting. The whole movie is a very violent action movie. Now it's different in the sense that it doesn't actually take on gun violence, which it sounds like American Horror Story is going to be taking on. This is just a violent action movie, and then there's a mass shooting that takes place in the BoJack Horseman world, and now they have to figure out how they're going to re-edit the movie. And the whole time is every time there's a new mass shooting all the time in this episode, and every single time they're just like, "Oh no, there's a new mass shooting. Thoughts and prayers of the victim. Thoughts and prayers." But how are we going to edit the movie? And it's interesting that seeing how culture and media and television and movies are affected by our non-action when it comes to gun control and legislation, and that's kind of what we're seeing. We shouldn't. The fact that we are the only country in the world that has to deal with this many mass shootings. And our solution, we are more decisive when it comes to editing a television program to be sensitive, which I think we should. I really think we should. And Ryan Murphy does say that this is not the time to sort of incite violence in the culture, and he doesn't want that to be misconstrued. He's making the right decision here, but this is more decisive than our lawmakers are being, and that's so frustrating.
But this is that, so you hear the lawmakers say now is not the time to XYZ.
Right.
Because it's too soon after, and I don't want to politicize it. That is the same approach, is it not, of Ryan Murphy saying like, it's too soon.
Well, what he's saying is how I take it to mean is he's saying now is the time to be sensitive in our approach to how we portray gun violence on television, and that just his response and action.
But he believes
is more action than we see.
He obviously believes in his approach to portraying gun violence in a certain way generally. Like it's the proximity after it where he's like, this is his cooling off period. He's like, it's too soon. I have put together a very well, it seems, I put together a very well thought out satire, criticism, portrayal, whatever you want to call it, of the place of guns in America, the idea, and it's about the role of media in America, inciting haters and this cult mentality in America. It's just, let's take a moment off right now because it is too soon. I think that the call right now I think he's doing the right thing in cooling off. I think that the lawmakers need to do the opposite.
Yes,
and,
exactly. It should flip.
Use this. It should absolutely flip.
But do you think a double whammy would be for him to air the scene? Because if we're trying to, we're all aware of gun violence and the effects of guns in America, yes. But do you think that it would be even more effective if he would have aired the scene and then said, and had maybe
I get what you're saying.
Because
I think it's the intensity. What he's portraying through a horror show is to give right in your face the intensity, the palpability of how truly terrible this is, and he wants to use those graphic scenes to do that. But at this time, I don't think we need that to feel the realness of this issue.
Exactly.
So I think it's okay for him not to do it. I think it's not okay for folks to hide behind that from a legislative standpoint, as Grace points out. I mean, am I wrong?
No, that's exactly.
And I agree with you guys. I understand where
it's
you
a
guys
great question.
From,
it is the right question to ask.
If we want to kickstart and enact more change, sometimes you have to go hard or go home. And
aren't all these mass shootings, shouldn't that be enough?
Obviously it's not. And Ryan Murphy is using his platform, his platform to send. This is the same way we talked about with the kneeling and the athletes and all these actors using their platform to try to enact change. This is Ryan Murphy's lane and avenue to do that. So I mean, it seems like, because Grace, you so beautifully made an awesome point about what TV and the media is doing their part. Why can't the motherfucking government do theirs? But it's just like, so what do we have to do to get that going? I think sometimes you have to just hit where it hurts.
I think that's the right question to ask. And I like how Ryan Murphy puts it. He's like, I have the right to air it for sure, but I also believe in the victims in victims' rights. So I think it's a good faith effort to say, like, I'm not going to show you this really intense graphic shooting scene after you've seen that for real, because I think it'd be too traumatic. I think over time, like, he was going to air this, a year after Orlando, a year and a half after Orlando. So he wants to bring it up, and I think there should be a time down the road when everybody does see it in its entirety. I respect this decision. I think it's a hot button issue, and it's important that we're having this conversation. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments section below. See you next time.